Welcome everyone to our webinar series called Expert Speak. Our speaker for today is Mr. Vishwanath B. Ramachandra Rao. I'll give a brief about his experience, and he's currently the senior architect consultant at Buddy for Study. He's also a consultant to IBM, Oracle, Qualcomm, Singapore Military, and Singapore Technologies. And he'll be covering today's topic on blockchain analytics in financial services. Over to you, Vishwanath.
Thanks, Ram. Good evening, everybody. So we are here to discuss on blockchain analytics. So as Ram said, thanks for a good introduction, Ram. So just to introduce myself fully, I have around 22 years experience and I have the PhD in mathematics and artificial intelligence. In terms of deployments, I did around 19 deployments till now. And in terms of blockchain, I started working somewhere from 2015. So extensively deployed 2 projects, and still the projects are still ongoing. And in terms of earlier activities, I was part of ETL and AI technologies. So closely works with the blockchain, how this blockchain can be implemented even with ETL and data science. So I normally use this blockchain as one of the upcoming trends. So that's the reason we are using blockchain in every place. Okay, so on that regards, we just designed this webinar for the blockchain analytics and financial services. So I am sure that you people already heard of this blockchain since long time. The people, when you talk about blockchain, people say that it's a cryptocurrency, or that they say that it is nothing but some sort of the mechanisms like it goes with so many different standards. So it says that the blockchain is one particular technique which is going to talk about a network of Bitcoin, Ethereum. There are so many statements that people say about the blockchain. But actually speaking, if you talk more about this, the blockchain as one of the technique, blockchain is not not meant only for a Bitcoin or Ethereum coin or a Litecoin. It got its own benefits. Okay, so what is the main benefit of blockchain is it makes your data more secure, immutable. So what do you mean by immutable is by the once you store the data, once you commit the data, it is always 100% secure. So because of this particular dynamic capability of a blockchain, people are looking into a blockchain in various places where the frauds are there, where there are some technical frauds, there are some digital frauds, or wherever that you require high-level security and cryptography. So that time the people use a blockchain. So when you see the blockchain, it is not only meant for transferring a cryptocurrency. It can be used in a trading. It can be used in supply chain mechanism. It can be implemented in healthcare, so forensics department, machine learning. There are so many places the blockchain can be used. So one's main advantage is if you talk about a blockchain, the blockchain is purely, it talks about the transactions. Okay, so where you have a network of multiple people who likes to interact with each other. Say, take example of a person transferring money from one account to another account. It is not just like 2 accounts. Okay, there are a lot of gateways are going to come. There are 2 independent banks are going to come. There are some geographical locations are going to come. So there is a IFSC code if it is in a single in India. If it is in abroad, there is some other the mechanisms. There are a lot of rules and regulations are going to come. So when you have all those elements, you have to abide to all those the entities, and then you have to do the transfer. So in such type of mechanisms, earlier days, there was a data where it used to have a private copies in a different locations, but using such type of model is not at all a good idea. So for that sake, the people implemented a blockchain. So advantage of blockchain is the blockchain is totally decentralized. What do you mean by decentralized? It is not there in a single server. It is there in multiple places. Then people will ask a question, is it on cloud? No, it is on node. What do you mean by node? Node can be your computer system, it can be your tablet, or it can be your cell phones, or it can be whatever you want. So wherever the whatever devices that you used, and using that, if you make any transactions, that itself is going to be termed as a node. So in this particular the activity, what happens is the data is going to be committed, and the everywhere the copy of your data will be placed in a decentralized locations. When you do that particular job, what happens? Then nobody can fool or nobody can tamper the data, because if it is tampered in some other location, the data copy is kept in every node where the transaction happens. Okay, say take example, if I am transferring some amount, okay, to some particular person, and that person uses that amount to buy some particular product, and that particular product has been bought by some wholesaler, retailer, some other place, at last whatever money that you are going to spend, it has to reach a respected destination people. But when it goes, it never goes with the same the format, because you may pay 100 rupees. Okay, in 100 rupees, the 20 rupees will be kept by the next person, and 80 rupees will be passed to the downgraded people. So there, what happens is, there once again they will take their share and they will pass it to the real owner of the content. So at that time, what happens? I don't want any the other person to grab some particular amount of info or a data or a money or whatever. So in that case, what happens is, there are some particular places where I can keep my data in a more secured manner. So that particular security can be offered with the help of a blockchain. In blockchain, what happens is, we are going to keep all transactions. We are going to commit those transactions in the form of multiple blocks. And this particular block, if you want to store it or if you want to keep it, there is a mechanism where you have to create a smart contracts. There is a business conditions, and once that business conditions has been satisfied, then only that particular blocks are going to be created. So once you create those particular blocks, okay, you are going to link those particular elements. So you are going to make it as a transactions, and you are going to they are going to have a chain of blocks, and nobody can cut this chain. So this chain is so secured. If there is any cut happens, and if anybody tries to change the block, what happens is, these particular blocks will be replaced by other places where the data has been kept in decentralized manner. They say, oh, this is a wrong data. What I have a copy is not a same copy what this the tampered content is going to be. So then what they do is, they don't even allow you to commit that particular block, because if everybody agrees, then only that particular block will be committed. Otherwise, tampering of that particular block can avoid a lot of things, like there is no a fraud activity can be done in the whole transaction. That's the reason, if you notice, that these days the people are not talking about blockchain for just a cryptocurrency. They are saying, oh, it has to be implemented in banks, because in our India, we have a RBI, which is a governing body. So multiple banks now these days, the banks are saying, we have to implement our own private the blockchain, and we have to do all transactions like NEFT transactions or the IFSC transactions. All these transactions has to happen by using a private blockchain. So that time, what happens? There is a no the concept of the laundry sort of activity, like we have to go with the the anti the money laundry. That is a one of the concept, like arm rule is there. So there is a lot of rules available. Recently, when there is a the bomb blast happened in the United States. At that time, they came out with this particular concept called there is a arm rule came into the picture. So that time, what happens is, the money laundry, that is a AML, implementation happened. According to AML, they said that the money laundry, the money should not go from any place to another place without anybody's notice. So at that time, what happens is, but the tampering can happen in the current network, because we are using all centralized networks, but we want a decentralized network. So for that sake, we are going to implement blockchains. So when you try to talk about a blockchain, the blockchain by default, without writing any sort of extra activities, because there are a lot of frameworks available in blockchain. When you use it, by default, it gives you some 5 most important facilities. First one is, as I said, that there is a distribution where the content is totally distributed across different systems. They are it can be in a same location or a different locations. The data can be it can be placed in a different places, and it can be utilized. So there are some times where the data cannot be tampered. And as I said, even the creator of the blockchain cannot tamper this particular blocks, because that's how it is created. So when you talk about the blockchain, the person can create the blocks, but he cannot delete the blocks, or he cannot alter the block. So then you can ask me a question: assume that there is one block has been committed, and that particular commit is a wrong commit, what you did, but still it got committed. So how to correct it? You create another block to do the correction. So that means the wrong block is also available, corrected block is also available. So that means each and every footprint is recorded, and it is not going to give you a chance to rewrite it. So that's where the immutability comes into the picture, where the transactions, whatever it is going to use, it is totally cryptographically signed, and all the data is going to be written in such a way that it is not going to have any sort of extra content. And all these things are going to be stored in the ledgers. And this hyperledgers is going to have a separate copies, and these particular copies are going to be present in every systems which you are going to deal with. So that particular immutability is one of the good concept of a blockchain, which is a default concept. And a lot of people, like banks, that they don't want to share their personal information of customers to other people. At that particular period of time, what people do is they will try to go for this option called as a encryption. So data is going to be encrypted with the public and private keys, and there are something called as a wallets are introduced, the blockchain wallets. If you have any the currency transactions, you can create a wallet. So anybody can deposit to the wallet, but if you want to use that particular amount, okay, you require a private keys. And losing a private key, as of now, the losing a private key is as equal as losing the whole money. So that's how it is designed as of now. No recovery points are available. So very highly secured area. Anonymous activities or anonymous way of going and entering that particular area is very difficult. Okay, it is not so easy to touch that area at all. And as I said, it is decentralized, and it got a tokenization. So tokenization in the sense, every transaction got some specific token number which has been given. So there are some times where I like to give some permission for a people, okay, to work on. So when I offer some specific permissions, then only you can do the activities with the blockchain. So that time what happens is, this particular blockchain gives you a very fantastic spectrum, and it is so nicely designed. Anybody can put anything, but you cannot take out from that particular place, and anybody can share the info. See, I think recently there was a one Forbes the review came out. The banks are spending somewhere like a 14 crore rupee just for the KYC. But see, KYC is very important, and how many of you noticed there are some the telephonic KYC we did it, Aadhaar card, the KYC, or if you go for the bank got a KYC. In every place we did a KYC. Why to do so many KYC? You make one KYC and put it in the block, and let you give that access to that particular block to the other people. Only the trusted members can access it. So that time I can give a permissioned or a public way of a spectrum that I can design for a blocks, and I can give them a permission. So at that time what happens is, that particular data will be shared. That's the reason, how many of you noticed recently they made a lot of news and regulations that you cannot change the phone number as it is in every bank now. Earlier days, just go to online banking, change your phone number, and you can come back. It was very easy job. But now the changing a phone number or changing the address, it got a lot of process. Even there are some agents will come to you to cross check whether your address is correct or not. Why they made it so much the regularities is because of frauds. But even if you want to send a person for some the authentication, or if they want to do some review, even that there is a cost involved for the bank. But if you try to go with a blockchain, whether you have a change of address or old address or whatever, when you make it as a part of a block, that particular block is 100% committed, and it is secured. If a bank says that this KYC can be shared to the other members, then only you can share those elements. So that time what happens is, you can give permission blockchain, or a permission data, or the private data, or a permissionless data. There are some secure data can be there. So you can track it so nicely with respect to the blockchain. So that's what you are eligible to do it at this level. So you are eligible to give a proper visibility and accessibility to the systems. So a lot of people, even they say that the bitcoins or Ethereum coins. These are all the cryptocurrencies that what you can use only with the blockchain. That's correct. It is just one particular piece, because using a cryptocurrency is just one particular format of a blockchain, but blockchain deals with a huge amount of a spectrum. It is as equal as it's in a very tender stage. As of now, the blockchain is just emerging in the market. So every department, wherever you want to have a high level security, instead of having a security products or security the companies, or a security APIs or digital signatures, all these sort of things, by you can streamline very nicely with the help of a blockchain itself. So you can do the lot of the activities like securing the content, the distribution, resilience, all these sort of concepts can be supported with the help of a blockchain. So not only that, there are some asset management. There is a asset management, wealth management. These are the places where the tampering is too much. So at that time, if you implement a blockchain, start from the donor till the acceptor. Okay, everything can be recorded. So it can be a supply chain mechanism, or you can do the import export the business. And in an import export business also, say take example, if I want to send some amount of goods from India to other country, it is not just the importer and exporters activity. There are a lot of the rules and regulations are there. Customs are going to come into picture. Indian laws are there. Legal rights are there. There are some billings, there are some taxes, there are so many things. Around 13 14 elements are going to come into the picture. But doing all these activities is a very long running activity. And not only that, when you want to ship a goods which is perishable goods, example like fruits and vegetables, if you want to send it to other country, it is a perishable good. And if this particular process, if you take around 10 days or 15 days, what will be the quality of that particular product? It is going to be very difficult. So for that sake, what they do, they put a lot of preservatives, they do a lot of other activities just to secure their element. But instead of that, if you streamline all the elements, there are a lot of other the things can be reduced. So you can streamline the contents very nicely. There is a huge amount of data flow is there, okay, between all these elements. So at that time, when you talk about a blockchain, as I said, it is a very tender in stage. It got advantages, it got some political disadvantages also, because earlier days when the actually I just gave this example to one of my friend. Okay, so earlier days we used to talk about internet, but when you talk about the internet is earlier days it was just like a fashion. Using the internet is like a fashion, but now it's a part of our life. Okay, it is almost like it became a necessity. But see the improvements, what happened, the people was not even aware that they will be using digital wallets, they were using UPI, they will be using the cryptocurrencies, or using a UPI payment. All these things, it was not at all we never had a visibility at all on all these areas earlier. But now we are using all those elements, and we are using internet so much. So similarly, the blockchain is also in a tender state. It got a lot of potentials, and these particular potentials are there in a network side, security side, cryptography side, asset management side. There are a lot of things there. So and your all value exchanges, everything it can maintain. But what happens is it maintains every stuff in the hyperledger or a ledgers. Okay, there are some products available like a hyperledger fabrics. There are so many technologies out there which are supporting blockchain. Even IBM came out with the IBM blockchain. Oracle comes with the Oracle blockchain. There is a vanilla flavor of a blockchain. There are so many techniques are there, okay, where the people are implementing a blockchain. So what they are trying to do is they want to put this particular the blockchain in a proper track, where the interoperability of the ledgers, whatever it is lag, okay, they want to change this particular feature to the advantages. So as of now, the lack of ledgers are there. Then the interoperability is a big issue. Governance, there are rules and regulations and governing bodies. All these things, it has to address it as of now in a proper manner. But now it is little the tedious, because it is not regulated properly. So this is a place where the blockchain is going to move that, and it will convert all its weakness into the strengths. But as of now, if you notice, as a birth property of a blockchain itself is concerned, it is open source, decentralized, resilience is there, it got a security, cryptography is there, asset the provenance is there, the native asset creations, dynamic and fluid value exchanges. These are all the basic qualities of the blockchain. And apart from that one, it reduces transaction cost. No too many bodies are required, no too many people are required to do any sort of a process. Main part is you can automate it. You can automate it, you can reduce the amount of frauds, systematic risk can be avoided. Then you have another stuff is the monetary benefits, okay, it can be used in an effective manner. There is a specific business, the concept available, and you can streamline that particular business concept, and you can go as if like a pipeline. So even the people are thinking of how to use a blockchain in terms of the how you can use it in the different manner in that particular place. You have you can avoid the amount of too much of the redundancy, and you have all these particular process can be stimulated, and you can put it in a proper manner with the help of a blockchain. So this is the one of the element that what you can use. And this, as I told you, the blockchain can be used in the financial domains. So what is the advantage of this particular stuff is you can avoid a cyber attacks, okay, and you can the poor IT infrastructure if you have, but decentralization will solve some particular problem. Okay, so these are all the big issues that what we used to face in financial domains, but blockchain can be a solution for that particular problem. See, in this case, if you notice, okay, I just want to concentrate on some particular portions. Like there is a huge amount of data. See, the banks consist of huge amount of data. Example, when any person opens an account, till he closes the account, you think that it is a life cycle of your bank account. No, there is a rules and regulation goes like this. Even if you close your account, the account is valid for 7 years. Okay, that account will be there for 7 years in the bank. After that, it goes to the trash account details, and it will stay for another 7 years. So that means once you open an account, after you close your account, the 14 years that particular data will be kept by companies. And tomorrow, if something goes wrong, or if somebody says that I had some big balance and I want to return with that particular balance, so where is the record? So actually now what we are doing, we are taking and we are keeping everything in the backup centers, the backup servers. There is a huge amount of data. Every day there is a lot of transactions happens, there is a lot of data generated, the contents are there, everything. I want to secure it. That is a primary things. I don't want to have some attacks. So for that sake, I will implement the blockchain. But when this huge data is there, I want to use the data in a proper manner. But as a human, querying the data or seeing the data is a very long process. So for that sake, what we want to do is we want to use analytics. We want to give an intelligence to the computer system, okay, and we want to train that system in such a way that the whatever data has been collected from the blockchain, okay, we are going to take it to the ETL system, that is extraction, transformation, and loading systems. And by using that, we can implement machine learning algorithms, okay, and all these things we are eligible to take it and we will put it in a proper fashion, okay, and then based on that particular fashion, whatever transactions are there, the transfers are there, we will have the business logic. I call that particular business logic as a smart contracts. So we are going to keep all these particular information, and the logics has been kept in a smart contracts, and these contracts will do some activities, and there are some transfers done. Every transactions are going to be kept in a different decentralized systems, decentralized ledgers, and from out of it, what we do, we instead of storing it in some particular backup centers, we can collect that particular information. All the transactional information, we are going to collect it from the blockchain network. So we can take those particular content and we can load it in one centralized location called as a warehouse. So after doing that particular job, it's because the warehouse concept or storing the data, so all these things is a part of a big data. But earlier days, we used to have all this data. It is not only with the help of blockchain. Even in a centralized system also, we used to have the data. But for analysis purpose or any type of the activity purpose, it is very difficult for us to go for the transparency. Okay, and I don't have that much flexible to share my original data to the analysis team. So that time what happens is cryptography or encryption, decryption comes into the picture. So that's where this particular system, what it does is it will collect all these transactions, whatever transactions that we have, we collect all these transactions. We have a business logic in a smart contracts, and we do some particular transactional activities, and we will create a block and we'll store it in the form of a block. whatever the block contents are there, every block data will be kept inside the place called as a blockchain network. And this particular blockchain network, what we do, we will try to take those particular data. I'm just giving an example of an Ethereum node, but it can be anything. So it can be a blockchain data. We will take that data, we will put it in a data warehouse. What is this data warehouse? The data warehouse is a big storage of huge amount of data. See, I think you heard of these companies like a Databricks, okay, Snowflakes. What are these companies are doing? They are trying to work on the huge amount of data that is called the your data analytics. So where the big data comes into the picture, the cloud-based or the analytics are coming into the picture. So what we do is, instead of putting all this data in a common place, we can keep all this information in a decentralized places, and we can collect it to the data warehouse on a cloud machine, and that can be a source of your whole analysis. So that time you can give that data and you can give a presentation. You can just frame a presentation, or you can have analytics dashboards can be created. You can do automation. See, I don't want to do any sort of a human activity. Whenever you have a human interference, there is a problem, because the person can do it in a very sophisticated manner, or it can also disturb the activity also. So I want to streamline it. So that's where the automation comes into the picture, where RPA comes into the picture, or sometimes the desktop automations comes into the picture, or there is a process automation comes into the picture. So there are a lot of different categories of automations are there. And based on this data, I like to educate my system itself. Instead of you doing some activity, you can educate the system, and that educating the system is a part of machine learning. So you have a statistical activities, artificial intelligence. I think everybody knows the artificial intelligence is like a phenomenon. It is not a technology, it's a phenomenon. Under artificial intelligence, you have a machine learning where you train the machine. You do higher amount of training. That is where the deep learning comes in the picture. Then apart from that one, neural networks, then you have some sort of activities that what you do, TensorFlow activities. All these things are just like a babies of artificial intelligence, where you can do inside predictions, inside training to the system. And all these training, I think everybody knows. I think people who got a knowledge on machine learning can acknowledge my statement. For machine learning, the first most important part what you require is the data set. So where you get the data set, that's where our blockchain, we are having a blockchain network with a huge amount of data with us. All these particular data can be combined, and it can be taken to the data warehouse. And from that particular data warehouse, we are eligible to keep that data for multiple places. So it's just a automated pipeline activities where you can do all these activities without any human interference. So at that time, what happens is all these concepts, it can be embedded and it can be used in a very nice and in a predictable manner. So we can write a pipelines, we can write a data flows and the workflows to do all these activities. So this is a capability of analytics implementation with respect to the blockchain. So what happens, in one place we do security, in one place we do data analysis, one place we give the intelligence to the system. All these three areas, if you notice in a closer look, these are all premature areas. So these areas is the one which is concentrated in the industry as of now, where if you want to do any sort of other activities, even the companies are looking. See, this is how the graphs are going to look like. So this is where the presentation comes into the picture. So you can design a graphs like this, or there are some charts are available. There is a bubble charts there. There is the car meter chart. There are some graphs. Okay, there is a bulb. The bulb line charts are there. So all these things, these are all the live examples what I'm showing you, where the data has been taken from a different units. You can take it like this. See, this is a ether the ether delta, the ether exchanges. So these are all the data coming from the mining part of your the blockchain. From there, we did this graph. Who did this graph? Okay, it can be done with the help of a Tableau or a matplotlib, okay, which is there as a part of machine learning. So this is how the integration between a machine learning and your data analytics is going to happen in one end, and the data donor is going to be the blockchain. So this is how you can blend the connectivity. So as a part of the current trend in the market. Okay, if you are doing the blockchain activity, just don't, you need not concentrate only on the blockchain. Apart from the blockchain, you are eligible to mix a data analysis, data analytics, and then on top of it, you are also eligible to go with some sort of analysis, and the machine learning activities, analytics can be implemented. So this is what the industry is looking for, okay, in the upcoming days. Okay, so if anybody want to start, or if anybody want to visualize their views and their approaches towards this the futuristic the portion of implementation in terms of blockchain, these are the three areas which are extremely well designed, okay, for an upcoming project. So it got a very good visibility as per the Forbes visibility. This sort of the contents, it becomes very hot in 2025. And the other and on top of it, every industries are forced to go to that particular boundary. Okay, so this is how we are having our the blockchain and data analytics. So this is one of the just activity what I showed you in terms of the blockchain, the definitions or blockchain utilities where it can be implemented. So you can plan yourself and you can just concentrate on these the boundaries. But this is a upcoming trend, okay, which is there in the industry as of now. So I think that's it from my side as just an overview what I can give you on this blockchain. If you have any queries, you can post your queries on chat. Okay, so we can just take it up.
Yeah, thanks, Vishwanath. How about you're framing yourself some typical questions what people come up with when they ask questions about I think right now people are mostly interested in how whether or not to invest in cryptocurrencies, and mostly those are the questions which come by. So are there any typical questions which you can frame for us?
See, actually, if you talk about cryptocurrency, as I said, don't whenever anybody talks about blockchain, don't talk only about cryptocurrency. The cryptocurrency is just a portion. Okay, as I said, whenever you have a supply chain mechanism, or if you want to do some banking transactions, stock exchanges, stock movements, nifty movements, in all these particular places, wherever there is a huge amount of a data inflow and outflow is there, where there can be a chances of tampering of a data, where if you want to secure it in a proper manner, the blockchain is pretty important. Okay, so this particular utility, it can be done in multiple ways. The blockchain can be implemented in different ways. If you are talking like a developer, okay, so some people, they ask me in one of my earlier webinar, okay, what language to concentrate on this about the blockchain. So people can talk about the JavaScripts, or you can talk about Python. Okay, when an architect asks, okay, where to implement blockchain? See, I already have a project ready with me. So where to implement a blockchain? Whenever you are talking about a application security, or when you talk about a data security, you can implement blockchain. Okay, as an administrator, okay, I will say that I want to implement the blockchain. So where to do that? So there is a decentralized system, serverless programming, cloud computing. In these particular places, the blockchain can be implemented. So it is concentrated not only for a specific members, even a non-technical person, a data scientist, or a data analysis person, even there is a normal analyst, the normal system analyst can ask for the blockchain. So it got a necessity in each and every place. Okay, so these are the areas where the people can implement a blockchain. So if you have any questions, you can think in any direction, okay, with respect to the blockchain.
Okay. Yeah, there's one question from Mahesh. He's on the money, saying, is cryptocurrency legal in India? Or what are the implications of people who are right now thinking
when a Bitcoin was introduced in the market, the people were invested on Bitcoins. Okay, I don't want to name a person, there was one celebrity in India, okay, who was not that great, but he invested in a cryptocurrency, and that particular person, he's almost very rich person, that to say, but unfortunate that person cannot sell the bitcoins in India, because Bitcoin is not a sin. It is not the implementation, or we can't say it's illegal, or we can't say it's illegal, because you can buy bitcoins. That's what India says. But if you want to sell the bitcoins in a different place, okay, it's there are some regularities that you have to go through. Only few banks supports, like a Deutsche Bank or HSBC supports in India. But as per the rule is concerned, you have to go some specific protocol, but it is not as direct like other countries.
Okay, we have one question from Anirban Chaudhary. He says, as it seems blocks are added to the chain, and every creation of a new block means a change to the entire chain to contain the footprint of the newly created record. So day by day, as transactions are increasing at a huge rate, which means for every new huge amount of new entry, huge amount of computation power is needed, which indicates that a huge amount of energy is consumed. So what are the strategies and planning to take care of this? Planning.
See, normally every footprint is not a block. Okay, whenever you do some activity, every footprint is not a block. So if you want to make anything as a block, okay, there is a rule. That particular rule is called as a puzzle. This particular puzzle has to be satisfied and it has to be approved. Okay, see, there is a something like a proof of stake, proof of work. Like this, there are some consensus algorithms are implemented. So simply you cannot add any content to the block until unless you have some specific logic to be executed, and the puzzle has to be satisfied by the miner. There is one particular person called as a miners available. So these miners can be a software miners, or it can be the physical people, where the huge amount of computancy power, as you said, it is required. But by whom? By the miners, not by any end customers, because the miners are the one who is going to solve the puzzle. I'll just give you a simple example. What do you mean by puzzle? In a simple statement, if I want to commit some changes, okay, in some particular place, you get a J captcha, visual captcha. What is that visual captcha? They will ask you a question, very simple question. Choose the diagram, and in that particular diagram, what are the image portions consists of a car image. Like that, they will place a query. So what we do, we will choose and we'll continue. But this is a very small puzzle. But in terms of cryptography, there is a huge puzzles are available, and that particular puzzle has to be satisfied, and then it has to be walked through. There is a process to do it, because that's what I said. There is a process to add a element to the block. Everything you cannot add it, or whatever as footprints that you do, you cannot add it. There is a governance rule available, okay, to do all those activities. Okay, so you have to go through the process, and once the block is added, okay, you require the help of a software or a hardware, that is a physical miners are available. They will invest huge amount of money, because what happens is, whenever the puzzle is satisfied, a portion of a duty charges will be given. Example, when you swipe a card, some people used to take 2.5%. Why they take 2.5%? Because that is a charges. So that sort of a minute charges will be available, or it is applicable to do that job. See, every bank also charges some particular charges when you do some transactions. Why they do that? It's a transactional charges. But if you compare the blockchain charges and bank charges, these charges are much more lesser than the whatever we are paying as of now. So adding a block is not so easy. Okay, it has to solve the puzzle, and the person who solves a puzzle is a third party who is a miner, and for mining activity he gets a some particular fees, that is called the mining fees, and that particular mining fees will be paid, okay, to the respected person. So there is a approach available there. So but it is that particular transaction amount is not going to be as big as what we are paying in the bank. Okay.
Okay. We have Sohail asking a question. What if a private key of a person gets leaked? So how do we roll back all the changes made from that key?
You cannot roll back. You cannot roll back. The simple example is you're carrying your wallet in your pocket, and if you are lost in some particular place, can you recover the currency? 100% no. So here also it's the same. So you have to keep a private keys as secured as possible. That's the reason there is a hardware wallets are there, software wallets are there, node specific wallets are there. There are different wallet mechanisms are available. You have to choose properly. So there can be a secured code, encrypted code, that is it can be called as a private key. But assume that you have some money in your wallet, and if you lose a private key, it's gone. That money cannot be used, and nobody, even the maintainer of that particular wallet also cannot touch that particular currency value.
Okay. We have Dr. Manoj Kumara. He is associate professor of the Department of Management of Sciences in Maharaja Institute of Technology, Mysore. He's asking how can the government implement blockchains towards control of to control and monitor the economy. In case if the investor lost a password, how can it be regenerated and how can it be recovered? How can the government implement it? Basically, he wants to know how.
See, normally what happens is when the government want to introduce this blockchain. I'll give you a simple example. We did one POC model for a Singapore government. Okay, in that particular place, when we did that activities, there is a banks who will come front. Okay, to maintain these particular cryptocurrencies, there are some rules and regulations that you have to abide with. Then that particular companies or that is the banking organizations, they will come out with their own the mechanisms of storing a copy of a cryptographic the private keys and all these things in different places. So there are some regularities where the government of the respected country and as well as some financial organizations has to be in tie-up. Okay, but that is not discussed in the blockchain technology. That is the external the security that what you are giving to your customers. Once that is done, okay, if you call your customers as investors, okay, so once these people, they are the pretty the well versed, then at that particular period of time, what happens is you are eligible to implement it in any type of a financial transactions like a stocks or the medicinal field or any type of a places where you can streamline all these elements. So that itself can boost up your the monitoring or it can be it can boost up your economy. So because the frauds can be avoided, and the losing of a password, as I said, if you talk about a blockchain, if you lose a password, it's gone. But the government of the respected country or some financial organizations, they should come out with their own strategies of keeping your copy of a hyperledger, or there should be some other mechanism to find out. But if you ask me about the blockchain losing a content is already, it's like losing the whole account, but the other entities should promise you. So that particular stuff comes under the rules and regulations and the laws of a respected country.
Okay. Now we have one other attendee asking, how does a user know the blockchain data is correct and it's not tampered with?
See, actually speaking, as I said, the tampering of a blockchain is impossible. Okay, I'm using a word impossible. The reason is once a block is added, okay, even the creator can't remove it. That's what I said. So in this particular sense, the tampering is just out of reach for you. And even if you try to tamper, the decentralized system ledgers, every ledger has to say okay. Okay, if you don't say, if it is not if it is says that it is not correct, then obviously it will not accept it. The simple example is as of now we have a similar case study with respect to your pan number. Okay, you cannot fraud the pan number. Even if you give a different value of pan number, it says that it is invalid because they are going to cross check it. And pan number is not only to pay your the basic income tax, it is also used in different divisions. Okay, so same thing, I want to have my wallet data will be there in the different the decentralized the ledgers, and until unless all ledgers says fine, then only the new block will be added. If there is any tampering, the data will be different. So a ledger says my copy and your copy is different, and that time what happens is there is a Bayesian the rule available or algorithm available. So or a Byzantine algorithms are available. So this algorithm says okay, it is not correct. So at that time the block will not be committed to the system, or you have to regenerate the block in that case.
Okay. We have Anir who's asking. Um, we have Sohail who's asking if a small business wants to implement a blockchain to ensure data integrity, how big of an infrastructure is needed?
There is a very small, see, to implement a blockchain, you required the normal systems itself. There is no need for you to invest anything bigger in this particular place, because actually the blockchain is a conceptual infrastructural implementation. So at that time, what happens is your normal programming standards is fine, but if you want to do a transactions like a Ethereum, or if you want to do it with the help of the Bitcoin or some other coin, or you can also create your own coin. So that time, whatever the coin that you are going to construct, or you would like to do the transactions in that particular coin, that time, if you want to do the other currency conversions, if you want to do, or if you want to just use those particular coins as like a token system, your normal infrastructure itself is more than enough to do the blockchain activities. But when you like to go live, then that time you require the miners, and the whichever miner, like whatever the wallets that you are going to subscribe, those wallets are going to have a huge amount of infrastructure. You are just supposed to do subscription. So these sort of subscription models are already offered by AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and other places. Just that particular infrastructure, the whatever you use, you can pay and you can do that job. So the amount of investment on your infrastructure is very, very less, because it's the cloud providers are available. So whatever you use, you can pay only that much.
Okay. We have Anirban Chaudhary asking, are the block size limits of a fixed size if in case there is a need for you to change or add a new feature?
See, blocks are already
okay, let me finish the entire question. He's asking if we try to add a new feature to the block design by following the rules and consensus in this case of a new chain creation. So, can you explain an example by the creation of Bitcoin Cash aside from Bitcoin? So, is there a capacity in the scale of adding records or changing the chain?
See, when you try to when you try to talk about this particular the Bitcoin, what happens is this Bitcoin got some specific counts. You cannot simply increase the amount of a Bitcoin, or there is a currency. See, if you take our any country, the amount of gold what we have, that is the amount of a currency what we are going to have. Okay, so that is equivalent. That means it's like this in a technical definition: the amount of resources that what you have, it is it equates to your the currency what you're going to use in the countries. So in a real time, what happens is when you are trying to use these sort of Bitcoin, the cash or a Bitcoin, or the default Bitcoins, that whatever it is going to use, so amount of people who hold a Bitcoin, it makes the usage, and how you spend your Bitcoins. Then what are the different changes that you can do with respect to your chain is you have to do transactions. So you have to spend your the Bitcoins, and you have to buy Bitcoin. So that is what you can do, something called the trading. So for trading, what you can do is you can write your smart contracts and you can do the trading. And to support that particular trading, then only you can have a consensus and rules. Okay, so that's how you have to write it. So remember, when you want to do anything like a Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin the activity, the trading is pretty important. The trading with smart contracts, the whatever that you are going to write, that is nothing but the business logic which will support you, okay, to do your the activity. So that's where your Bitcoin comes into the picture. So it depends on the what amount of coins that you can purchase and you can hold and do a trading on top of it. So you cannot simply change the anything in the chain. So as I said, do trading, you create a blocks, add the blocks. Okay, but whatever activity you do, whether it's a wrong block or right block or whatever, everything is recorded.
Okay. We have Naveen Kumar asking a question that what are the tools, free tools and frameworks he could use to implement blockchain?
A very good question. Actually, this is a fantastic part. There is no need for you to use any tools or any technologies to do it. Just languages are pretty important. You have a Python language available, and another one is JavaScript. JavaScript and Python are a very trusted languages for blockchain writing. Even there are some APIs released for Java or Golang. The languages are also available, but industry standard, the people are using a Python language and JavaScript. So these two languages are there is more than enough to implement a vanilla blockchain. But if you are concentrating, see, some people what they did is instead of you struggling from scratch, where you write the whole blockchain activity from scratch, instead of writing from scratch, what you can do is you are eligible to buy some the subscriptions from IBM. That is called the IBM blockchain. Then Google got a Google blockchain. Like that, they gave some flavors. These flavors, what they did, instead of you writing everything from scratch, they wrote some particular partial part. That is called the blockchain frameworks. And on top of it, you can implement it. So that comes as a part of a subscriptions under Azure or a Google Cloud or AWS or any other place. If you don't want to do that job, if you are well versed in the Python and the JavaScript, these two languages are more than enough, and infrastructure what you have is more than enough to write a blockchains.
Okay, I think that's about the questions we have in our chat room. So thanks, Vishwanath, for your time, and thanks everybody for joining in.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Oh, Vishwanath, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. No
we
issue.
have just last moment question. The guy asked, like, he's asking, what if modifications are done to the same node at the same time?
No, that is not going to happen. Okay, the same node, the same time, the changes cannot happen because every transactions there is something called as a unit of work. So the unit of work will maintain the difference between a one activity to another activity. So that is next to impossible once again. Okay, so it will be taken as a separate element itself.
Okay, is there any more questions the attendees want to ask the speaker? I don't see any hands go up. Could you share any reference links?
Yeah, what you can do is, if you are interested with respect to the blockchain, you can visit my GitHub link. Okay, so I'll just share my GitHub link on the window what I shared with. So this is my GitHub link. In this one, you can see that there is a repositories. Under repositories, I have some couple of the blockchain related materials, and as well as some examples has been shared. Okay, so if you are interested, you can just go to it. Okay, so it is shown empty here because of rights. Okay, so these are all the examples that whatever that I showed in some sessions. If you're interested, you can post your queries in my the GitHub link. Okay, the offline if you have any queries, or you can also go through the respected place. So you can just get in touch with me and you can ask for contents. No issue. You can just make a note. It's a github.com/vishemails is my GitHub channel. Okay, so I have a lot of repositories hosted on different technologies. Okay, you can just make utilize out of it. It is for public.
Okay. That is all I have as questions. And I have one more question. We have a lot of people. We have Shivali asking, is the blockchain different from a banking ledger?
Yes, that's correct. Banking ledger can be converted to a blockchain ledgers, but banking ledgers are centralized, and the banking ledgers are centralized, blockchain ledgers are decentralized. There's a lot of difference.
Okay. I think I don't see any more questions, but please go ahead if in case anyone can raise their hand. I can actually go ahead and ask you to talk. You can unmute
Okay.
you. I don't see any hands raised either. So,
Okay.
so thanks so much for your time, Vishwanath, and thanks everyone for joining in. And have a nice day.